think to fully appreciate how far this journey has been, it's good to show you some of the old prototypes that we worked on. So when we first started out, we were 3D printing our rings using ABS. Now, we borrowed a 3D printer from a school that were kind enough to lend us it. Thanks, Mark, for that. And yeah, we were doing like one a day and really just playing with it and experimenting with different ring shapes and different inlay sizes. And we were testing it on the mobile phone, and also I had a like a digital door lock type unit that was actually 125 kilohertz, so it wasn't an NFC device, and that was quite cool and it worked quite well. But it wasn't ultimately what I was trying to do. It wasn't the problem. The problem that I was trying to solve was more of a consumer level problem. You know, I wanted to be able to use my phone and my ring together, and I wanted to use my door and my ring, and I wanted it to be a standard technology. And the thing with 13.56 megahertz versus 125 kilohertz is that it actually doesn't travel as far because it's a higher frequency. So, you know, we decided that we'd move away from 125 kilohertz, but we decided that we'd stay with these glass capsules. But there was a catch with these glass capsules, and that they'd keep smashing. And I just want to throw a warning out there for people that are putting them under their skin. It's up to you, and I'm not going to preach at you, but be careful. When they crack, if they do crack, you don't really want copper in your bloodline, in your bloodstream too much. So we stayed with the glass capsules for a little while, and we tried some ordered 3D printed rings. So these are the ones from Shapeways and Sculptio. And we didn't really have a great level of service when we were doing these, especially with the metal coated plastic. It wasn't a nice experience, and the ring just looked so unbelievably tacky. So we thought we'd try some ABS plastic. Now, ABS plastic's great if you're doing really large quantities, and if you're not too concerned about the quality or the refinement of the end product. So the big catch when it comes to doing ABS printed rings is that the ring itself has to be in a two-part mold, one at the bottom and one at the top. Now the disadvantage of that is that the mold has to join in the middle, which means the ring on the outside, throughout the whole middle of the ring, so the center of the ring, he's going to have a seam where you're going to be able to tell that that's where the molds met. And that was one huge gotcha. The other gotcha was the ABS plastic. It's incredibly difficult to put inserts in, so actually putting an inlay into the actual ABS and hiding it in some way would have been incredibly difficult and expensive. So you're looking at like roughly $10,000 for tooling for ABS, which at the time just wasn't cost effective for us. So we did some metal prototypes. The instant problem that you hit whenever you're dealing with metal and RFID is that the induction tries to induct the metal. So instead of it actually initiating or turning on the chip, it just fails. So your phone's not able to induct the actual NFC tag. So functionality is broken. So we deal with that. We dealt with that in a few ways. We created our own shielding material, which is unique to our project. It's incredibly thin, and it's taken many months to perfect, and we feel like we've got it just right now. And this means that the actual induction can still take place, and the tag can work. Without this shielding material, it just wouldn't work. And then on top of the shielding material, we decided to settle for the Smart Track Midas tag, which is a fantastic tag. The actual readability of it is probably second to none. In fact, it was probably a little bit too readable for our project. So we approached Smart Track and we said, hey guys, can you make a tag that's less readable but thinner? And they said, well, we'll speak to the R&D team. And it was basically a no-go from there. It wasn't an issue of money. It was an issue of you won't get a high quality readable tag. So we went, okay, thank you very much, you've been great and we love your products, but it's not comfortable enough for us. We ended up with an 11 or 12 mil ring, and in some cases this was a 13, 14 that's in the image now, and it's just not acceptable. However, we did quite like the slickness and the thinness of the ring that's sitting on top of the spinning ring. So actually the ring that's at the bottom is a spinning ring, And these were designed by Aaron at Crit Success, who has the license, I think, for providing spinning rings, and they've run a Kickstarter project recently, and they're one of our partners as we work through this. They've been really good with us and are helping out with distribution. And what we did find was that the spinning rings were just too bulky for all day use. They're fantastic for Aaron's use case with the dice rings, but we were trying to create a ring that you'd wear all day, every day. You'd forget that you were wearing it. It'd be frictionless, and we really wanted to kind of disrupt quite a bit of the jewelry industry. In fact, we still want to disrupt the jewelry industry because we find that it's kind of draconian in some ways. Some of the new stuff's great, but for the most part it's full of artists and not scientists, and no discredit to any artists out there because there's some fantastic jewelry designers, but we felt like we wanted to bring a little dash of science into it. So what we decided to do was to ditch the thick chunky ring and play around with this kind of much thinner ring. So this ring is actually the same inlay, but it's only 9 or 10 mil wide. The white pearl one is just because it's an exclusive one specifically for 4 people that we made for a demo. Some of the rings that we've made have been for special use cases per order. But our latest breakthrough, which has come out only in the last couple of months, is we finally managed to prototype and finalise an NFC tag that's only 6 mil, which is by far the smallest on the market. It's actually about 3 mil less wide than any other NFC tag that's on the market. This has taken us about 6 months to develop, and we've developed 2. We've developed one that's 30 mil and one that's 20 mil. And you can see here by when we put the 8 mil inlay in a normal ring, that's the ring at the bottom with an 8 mil inlay in, and then you've got the 6 mil inlay above it. It's actually an incredibly small unit and compact, yet incredibly readable. The induction on it is quite successful, and when you couple it up with our shielding material, which is specifically tuned to deal with our obviously RFID, but also at 13.56 megahertz, you really do get a nice experience where readability is quite high. So you've kind of got this thin line where you want readability on our products to be just about at touch. So from this point, once we developed this incredibly thin inlay, we were able to put it into a much thinner ring, which is the product that you will be seeing on Kickstarter, or you're seeing on Kickstarter. And in this incredibly thin ring, on the top of the ring, you've got a 30 mil by 6 mil inlay. I think the depth is 0.8. I don't even think it's that. It's hardly anything, the depth. And then on the bottom you've got a 20 mil by 6 mil, so that the inlay on the top is actually 10 mil longer than the inlay on the bottom. And the reason for that is that the inlay on the top is essentially the public ring. So if for some reason, by some miraculous opportunity, if somebody is able to induct just one of the tags from a bit of a distance, well, they'll still get mostly only public content. In fact, they'll only be able to induct the public ones. So it was just a way that we could keep the ring small but increase security as well. So yeah, that was that had been the main challenges really. It's the creating an inlay, creating our own custom shielding, designing a ring that's the correct shape and size and form factor that's actually wearable all day. And then just doing like little bits of styling. We've kept it pretty simple, and the reason for that is that we're gonna leave the styling up to the community. We're hoping that the people that that enjoy the product and want to get involved will create some custom designs, and those custom designs can then go onto the market, and we're hoping that we'll be able to create a little bit of a resale type market after that, and people will be able to flourish and build their own. So that's our journey so far. I hope you've enjoyed this little tale, and if you've got any questions then please ask.